Your next court date on all of these cases is August the 11th at 1:30. August 11th at 1:30. So we will see you back in August. Screen.
On top of page 2, Katie Dorr. The agreement worked out to a plea on information, and her counsel failed to notify her that we had a plea date set today. And so I talked to Mr. Inslee. He says August the 2nd at 9 a.m.
August 2nd, 9 a.m.
And I will make sure that gets done. Thank you, Judge. No. This morning.
Ms. Thompson, you there?
Yes, sir, I am.
Okay, you ready on anything?
I'm ready on Tony Boswell on page 8, Your Honor.
You have video or just, we can't see you?
How about now?
Gotcha. Tony Boswell. Cause number CR 21-0377-173, the state of Texas versus Tony Boswell. There are Tony Boswell in the courtroom. See no one, I hear no answer. All right. Time is now 1:54. Mr. Boswell was scheduled to appear in court at 1:30. And he is not here. The court will entertain a motion.
State request one full petition, Your Honor.
Granted, case is the issue, he'll be held with no bond. And for the record, he's got a stack of warrants out of Caney City. Anything else, Ms. Thompson?
No, sir, that's all I have.
All right, thank you.
Thank you, sir.
Who is her attorney? Yes. It's John Scott. Let's see the docket sheet. Ms. York. Sorry, I just said docket sheet. You know what I was talking about.
Well, I just looked at the contract, sorry.
Sorry. Shork, I need to have you have a seat in the jury box till your attorney gets here. All right, anything else ready? All right, I'm going to go through the docket. If you hear your name called, just let me know that you're here. Jessica Nobles. Cause number CR 21-0008-173, the state of Texas versus Jessica Nobles. Is there a Jessica Nobles in the courtroom? David Wayne. Well, I hope you didn't have an Oklahoma breakdown.
Yeah.
That's funny. Here's what I'm gonna do. I normally give him until I'm at the end of the docket. And so, but I go ahead and call it, and if he gets here, then I'll rescind it. It's cause number CR 19-0609-173, the state of Texas versus David Wayne. Sir David Wayne in the courtroom. I see no one. I hear no answer. Mr. Schmidt indicates that he is on his way from Oklahoma.
Would you like to hang around and see if it shows up?
So that's up to you. Yep.
Okay.
All right, name was called. He didn't answer. It is now 1:58. The docket was set for 1:30. And the court will entertain a motion.
For the time being, state will request a bond for 50.
For the time being,
Until, I mean, let's see,
unless he did have an Oklahoma breakdown.
yes.
All right. All right, well, granted capious issue, he'll be held with no bond. And I'll consider it when I'm here, as long as I'm here. All right, where was I at? Orville Jones. Gotcha. Hunter Roper. See here, John?
Mr. Rowe, he's in custody. Yeah.
Oh, is it?
that's gonna be a
Oh,
hearing.
right there. Jeffrey Sanchez. Gotcha. Caston Scroggins. Gotcha. Miss York's in the box. We already called hers anyway. Larry Broadwell.
That'll be a plea, Your Honor.
Okay, gotcha. And then Cody Parker. Didn't I just call that one? I didn't line through it. Linda Main. You're free to go, ma'am. You passed your test. We'll see you in August. On this, on your, this, I haven't either. I'm just making sure. Mr. Scott.
Yes, Your Honor. Orville Jones.
All right, this is cause number CR 21-0358-173, the state of Texas versus Orville Jones, set for discovery status.
It is, Your Honor. We actually have a plea worked out. I think the state would like to confirm something, and I wanted to see if we could set this for tomorrow at 1:30 for a plea. I've got to be here already on Lagunas.
It's gonna be a long day anyway. We might as well.
Okay.
It's gonna be a long day, I'll tell you that.
That's, well, I'm here on Lagunas, and
That's
that's with
fine.
an interpreter.
Mr. Jones, you all right with that?
Yes, sir.
All right, we'll see you tomorrow at what, 1:30. So that's gonna reset it for tomorrow at 1:30.
Mr. Honor, I just need to reach out to the victim.
Get that whole staff. Hey, these are personal touch, right?
Yes, Your Honor.
Okay. Well, I mean, you wouldn't want somebody else to call it. It's your case.
Well, no, Your Honor, we just reached an agreement right now.
Oh, I got you.
Oh, yes, sir.
And
And I see that one of my clients is now in custody. She wasn't when I left the courtroom, Mrs. York.
yes, sir. Come on up, Miss York. It's back on the record in cause number, or do you need to talk to her before I call her back up? It appears as though she's tested positive for methamphetamine.
Okay. Well, I guess I better.
Yeah. Still waiting here. And I know John's busy, but I always say if they got a warrant, then if you don't want them, somebody to execute it, recall it. Because I have it. The way I look at it is, that when I swear to uphold the law and the Constitution, if there's an active warrant and I don't. Take care. Because it's going, because what happens, she drives out of here and gets caught going 3 miles over the speed limit, pulled over. Mr. Stevens,
Sure, we have a plea, I believe, states, sign of the plea paper, that's warrant too, so. You're ready in about 2 seconds.
who is it?
It's gonna be on Broadwell, Larry Broadwell.
Mr. Broadwell, come on up, sir. All right, this is cause number CR 21-0350-173, State of Texas versus Larry Broadwell, set for discovery status today. However, a plea has been presented to the court. Is the state ready?
Yes, Your Honor.
And on behalf of Mr. Broadwell,
We're ready.
all right, sir, is your name Larry Broadwell?
Yes, sir.
And are you the same person that was originally indicted by Henderson County Grand Jury for the 3rd-degree felony offense of possession of a controlled substance?
Yes, sir.
Raise your right hand the best you can, please. You solemnly swear or affirm the testimony you're about to give now on trial will be the truth, the whole truth, and nothing but the truth, so help you God.
Yes, sir.
You can lower your hands. Mr. Broadwell, can you read and write the English language?
Yes, sir.
Are you a U.S. citizen?
Yes, sir.
If it turns out you're not, and you enter into this plea bargain with the state, it can have certain negative immigration consequences. Do you understand that?
Yes, sir.
And Mr. Broadwell, have you ever been treated for any mental health or emotional issues?
Yes, sir.
Is that a no? It's hard to hear.
I'm
Hey,
sorry.
That's
No,
all
sir,
right.
I haven't.
Okay.
Yes, sir.
All right. And Mr. Stevens, do you believe your client is competent?
I do, Your Honor.
And the court finds he is competent. Mr. Broadwell, I know that we've already arraigned you on this case. However, would you like the prosecutor to read the indictment out loud in the courtroom?
That's okay.
All right, but do you understand the charge?
Yes, sir.
Well, as indicted, that charge is a 3rd-degree felony, which carries a punishment range of not less than 2 years or more than 10 years and a fine of up to $10,000. Do you understand the range of punishment
Yes, sir.
and the plea bargain?
We are recommending 8 years for adjudication and probation, $1,000 fine, $750 attorney fees, $365 court costs, and $180 lab fee, along with all standard and special terms and conditions of probation.
Is that your understanding of the plea bargain, Mr. Broadway?
Yes, sir.
Is that your understanding, Mr. Stevens?
It is, Your Honor. However, my client has asked if the court would be willing to waive the GED requirement. He works as an irrigation and lawn and maintenance. He's done that almost all his life. He's going to continue doing that as his form of employment, and he's still continuously employed doing that type of work. And so we don't believe that that would benefit him in his line of work, given his age and work history.
State, any objection?
No, Your Honor, that's
I'll waive it. You're almost as old as I am, so. 71, right? I just looked at your date of birth.
Yes, sir.
I'm a 70, so we're old. All right, and so that's everybody's understanding of the plea bargain,
Yes, sir.
and I've waived that. All right, Mr. Broadwell, a few minutes ago, you told me you could read and write the English language. We'll go over 2 documents with you. The first is the agreed plea recommendation. Did you read and go over that with Mr. Stevens?
Yes, sir.
Did you sign the front of that?
Yes, sir.
Did you read and go over the back with him?
Yes, sir.
And did you sign it?
Yes, sir.
Do you have any questions about it?
No, sir.
The next document I'm showing you is the court's admonishments and warnings prior to entering a guilty or no contest plea. Did you read and go over both pages of that with Mr. Stevens?
Yes, sir.
And did you sign that second page?
Yes, sir.
Do you have any questions about it?
No, sir.
Do you have any questions about any of the documents that you read and went over with Mr.
No,
Stevens?
sir.
Well, if you read and went over these with him, I know he explained to you that you have many constitutional rights, including the right to trial by jury. Do you want a jury trial?
No, sir.
Do you want to do this plea bargain?
Yes, sir.
I'll ask you, sir, how do you plead to that 3rd-degree felony offense of possession of a controlled substance as alleged in the indictment? Guilty or not guilty?
Guilty.
And are you pleading guilty because you are and for no other reason?
Yes, sir.
I'll hear the evidence.
State presents an offense report, an inventory report, and a lab report, Your Honor, as states 1, 2, and 3.
No objection.
Admitted.
State rests and closes, Your Honor.
Rest and close as well.
All right, Mr. Broadwell, based upon your guilty plea and the evidence, the court has enough evidence to find you guilty. However, the court will follow the plea bargain, defer making any finding, place you on 8 years community supervision. You do have 2 days credit as to any sentence you may eventually have to serve. and orders you to pay your fine, attorney's fees, court costs, and lab fee. And Mr. Broadwell, have you ever been on probation?
Yes, sir.
Did you successfully complete it?
Yes, sir.
Nice. You know what it takes.
Yes, sir.
You know what can happen to you if you violate this community supervision?
Yes, sir.
What can happen?
You can get the max chance.
That's right. Since it's a deferred, you can
Yeah.
get the max. Here's what can happen. If you violate any term or condition of this community supervision, a motion could be filed, a warrant would be issued for your arrest, you'd be brought back before the court, and if at a hearing, the court found it were true that you violated at least one term or condition, the court could find you guilty, revoke your probation, and sentence you up to 10 years in prison. You understand? So would you agree with me? It's extremely important you do these things.
Yes, sir.
All right, I hope you do, sir. Good luck to you. You need to see probation before you leave.
Conclude my business, maybe excused.
Sir, feedback. Ms. Moore.
One that's set with that discovery that worked out the complete report to hear that.
I sure
I'm
can.
not sure if you're quite ready.
Jessica Noble.
Yeah.
All right, this is cause number CR 21-0008-173, the state of Texas versus Jessica Elizabeth Nobles. Set for discovery status today. However, a plea has been presented to the court. Is the state ready?
We're ready, Judge.
And on behalf of Ms. Nobles.
We're present, Randy, Your Honor.
All right, ma'am, is your name Jessica Elizabeth Nobles?
Yes, sir.
And are you the same person that was originally indicted by a Henderson County grand jury for the state jail felony offense of possession of a controlled substance? You acted like you guessed.
It was just, it was the way it was worded, sorry. But yes, sir. Yes, sir.
Okay. All right. And can you raise your right hand the best you can, please? Your other right.
I'm ambidextrous, sorry.
You're ambidextrous?
Yes.
Well, you still only have one right
I
hand.
know, I
Right.
just get mixed up.
You solemnly swear or affirm the testimony you're about to give now on trial will be the truth, the whole truth, and nothing but the truth, so help you God.
Yes, sir.
Now you can lower your hand. Ms. Nobles, can you read and write the English language?
Somewhat, yes.
Are you a U.S. citizen?
Yes, sir.
If it turns out you're not, and you enter into this plea bargain with the state, it could have certain negative immigration consequences. Do you understand that?
Yes, sir.
And Ms. Nobles, have you ever been treated for any mental health or emotional issues?
Yes, I'm bipolar.
All right, are you on medication for that?
Not
You-
any further. No.
Do you need to be?
I don't think so. No, I think I'm okay.
Think you're okay.
I've been having problems communicating with her, Your Honor.
All right, and Ms. Nobles, do you understand what's going on in here today?
Yes, sir.
All right, and Ms. Moore, how long have you represented Ms. Nobles?
Since, I would say probably over a year. I can't remember
Okay,
the
and
date.
so you've had
offhand.
many conversations with her?
Yes, many, and I don't have any doubt that she's competent, Your Honor.
All right, well, Ms. Nobles, the law presumes that you're competent, and even though you've told me you're off medication for something you've been diagnosed with based upon, I would say your demeanor, but based upon your answers to my questions, I kind of question your demeanor, whether you're under the influence, honestly, and the statements of your attorney, then I'm going to find you are competent. Ms. Nobles, I know that we've already arraigned you in this case. However, would you like the prosecutor to read the indictment out loud in the courtroom? But do you understand the charge? Well, as indicted, that charge is a state jail felony, which carries a punishment range of not less than 180 days or more than 2 years in a state jail felony facility and a fine of up to $10,000. Do you understand the range of punishments and the plea bargain?
Your Honor, asking the court to defer a finding of guilt and place Ms. Nobles on probation for 3 years. 93 days credit for a potential sentence, $1,000 fine, attorney's fees, court costs, and the live restitution fee.
Is that your understanding of the plea bargain, Ms. Nobles?
Yes, sir.
Is that your understanding?
It
Ms.
is,
Moore?
Your Honor.
Well, Ms. Nobles, a few minutes ago, you told me that you could somewhat read and write the English language. I'm going to go over 2 documents with you. The first is the agreed plea recommendation. Did you read and go over the front of that with Ms. Moore?
Yes, sir.
And did you sign it?
Yes, sir.
Did you read and go over the back with it?
Yes, sir.
And did you sign the back?
Yes, sir.
Do you have any questions?
No, sir.
Second document I'm going to show you is the court's admonishments and warnings prior to entering a guilty or no contest plea. Did you read and go over both pages of that document with Ms. Moore?
Yes, sir.
Did you sign that second page?
Yes, sir.
Do you have any questions about it?
No, sir.
Do you have any questions about any of the documents that you read and went over with Ms. Moore?
No, sir.
Well, if you read and went over these with her, I know she explained to you that you have many constitutional rights, including the right to trial by jury. Do you want a jury trial? You want to do this plea bargain? And I'll ask you, ma'am, how do you plead to that state jail felony offense as alleged in the indictment? Are you guilty or not guilty? Are you pleading guilty because you are and for no other reason?
Yes, sir.
I'll hear the evidence.
Judge, I have stage 1 in offense report, stage 2 is Mike Morton compliance, and stage 3 the lab report.
We've reviewed that today and have no objection.
Admitted.
The state rests.
And Your Honor, we rest and close and ask the court to follow the plea bargain.
All right, then, Ms. Nobles, based upon your guilty plea and the evidence, the court has enough evidence to find you guilty. However, the court will follow the plea bargain, defer making any findings, place you on 3 years community supervision. You do have 93 days credit as to any sentence you may eventually have to serve, and orders you to pay your fine, attorney's fees, court costs, and lab fee. And Ms. Nobles, have you ever been on probation before?
One time.
Did you successfully complete it? So you know what it takes.
Yes, sir.
You know what can happen to you if you violate this probation.
Yes, sir.
What can happen?
The max.
That's right, the max. And do you know how state jail time is served?
Day for day.
Typically day for day. Here's what can happen. If you violate even one term or condition of this community supervision, a motion can be filed, a warrant would be issued for your arrest. You'd be brought back before the court. And if at a hearing, the court found it were true that you violated even one term or condition, the court could find you guilty, revoke your probation, and sentence you up to 2 years in state jail. You understand? So would you agree with me? It's extremely important you do these things. Hope you do, man. Good luck to you. You
Thank
need
you
to see
so much.
probation before you leave.
That is all I have. Have it.
Yes, ma'am. Thank you.
See you next month.
Is run the results of that.
Can I see the docket sheet, please? Okay. Ms. Utley, or Mr. Utley, sorry. All right, it's back on the record, cause number CR 21-0331-173. State of Texas versus Jody Utley. Mr. Utley was ordered to take a drug test based upon the nature of his charge. Mr. Utley has tested positive for marijuana. And so, Mr. Utley, I know it's legal in a bunch of states, but it's not legal here, and it's actually still against federal law, which is why it's an all cash business. You can't put your money in the checking account even if you own a lawful business in Colorado. True story. And so I'm going to place you on conditions of bond, no alcohol, no illegal drugs, no drugs not prescribed, and no THC, whether it's oils, gummies, vape, joint, whatever.
Yes, Your Honor.
Okay, so you're going to get those, I'll sign them, and then once you get a signed copy, you're free to go. So you can go ahead and have a seat, and then once you get that signed copy, you're free to go. Fatty, whatever.
As long as the judge signs it, it's good.
Mr. Scott,
Miss York,
Ms. York, come on up.
Yeah, you excused me.
Yes, ma'am, thank you. This is back on the record and calls number CR 20-0680-173, the state of Texas versus Jessica York. And York has apparently tested positive to methamphetamine and for methamphetamine and amphetamine. And does have an active prescription for Adderall. However, in my experience, as well as probation, it's my understanding they didn't test positive for meth, just amphetamines.
Yes, sir.
Mr. Scott.
That's my understanding as well, Your Honor. I understand that based upon her statements to me, and I've talked to the probation department, I understand they still have the sample. Would like to ask if the court would consider sending that off for confirmation. And my understanding on Miss York's history is the first time she showed up, she wasn't positive for meth. It was just amphetamine, and they had the Adderall
No,
prescription.
she was positive for meth and amphetamine.
Oh, on the last
Oh, the
time?
last one? No, I'm sorry. So in March, she was positive for methamphetamine and amphetamine. In May, she was just positive for amphetamine. And then this time she was positive for both. Can I see the indictment? Does she have an offer?
It's a probation offer, Your Honor. With 7 years probation.
She did have a direct result back in March of this year as well. That was positive for methamphetamine. Admitted use to methamphetamine that day.
All right, Miss York, and the court's going to find your bond insufficient, and your bond will now be $30,000 surety bond.
Yes, sir. And I'll talk to the state. Would the court be able to set her?
I mean, if y'all even worked it out today, I would, reconsider.
Okay, I'll talk to her. Thank you, Your Honor.
Ooh. Get on it. Get on it. Who cares? Anything that you do or tell him, he deserves every bit of it. Every bit and then some. No matter what you do. Mr. Scott, I think yours are the only ones. Well, no, Mr. Green's still here.
I've got at least 3 pleas, Your Honor.
Hey, I'm here all day. And the reason I don't want to add something till tomorrow is if y'all work it out, then we wouldn't have to book her in and bring her back. But I am here tomorrow, but it's a long day tomorrow.
Yes, sir.
And then on,
It's flat, Your Honor.
it's flat.
Talk to the county attorney's office, $655 from board firm. They're seeking a payment plan.
Okay.
Pay the money, try to figure out today.
Well, and as soon as, I mean, if, yeah, because they'll recall it and then we don't even have to take her over. So we'll just keep,
Trying to get that done.
sure, we'll leave her hanging back.
Thank you.
All right, I'll take a recess. Y'all let me know when we have something ready.
I'll answer all your questions. Let's sit down together. How's it feel that out?
Who is it, Jeffers? So he like, who is Jefferson? He has to get his map on first. That way he can do Yeah. Different license.
No, I got it. Bye. I still have the order. I have one on my desktop here. That was supposed to be next month? Oh, no, we're supposed to be getting examined for this. Supposed to be examined, I pushed it to September. That's when. It's like 265. Right. I don't know if that's the same. I saw on that. It's- No. Yeah.
But you get it, you get it fast, or you get over the tree. It's easy. Other than you usually have to have the last. Yeah. Well, usually you come out. Yeah, I got out of debt for 2 years. That's still. Yeah, thank you, John. Cascades over the college. 1 or 2 years over there. Yeah, I do remember that.
That's for some cases, for COVID enhancement. You gotta do that one. Okay, you want to write that for the governor's emergency declaration enhancement? I'll write that out. We got this.
Pre-COVID or?
Oh, yeah, it was- Oh, I totally- Yeah, I remember seeing that. You went to some deal. Yeah. Let's do it.
Oh, down the hallway. You still feel okay with it? Well, there's one. Yes.
Thank you. You ready? All right, Kevin tells me we have a few things ready.
I have one, Thomas Conklin. UA results back.
All right, it's cause number CR 21-0407-173, the state of Texas versus Thomas Conklin. Did he not provide a sample?
No, sir.
No. We'll go eventually. All right, and so Mr. Conklin could not provide a sample of urine, so it appears as though he's admitted to ingesting meth and weed back on July 12th. So you may still be under the influence, 14. And so is this his first?
It is, Judge.
Right, so Mr. Conklin, you get one free shot with me in here. And so I'm placing you in conditions of bond, no alcohol, no drugs that are illegal, no drugs not prescribed, and no THC or marijuana in whatever form or fashion it's in. You understand?
Yes,
And
sir.
if you need help, ask. Because if you come in the next time and you test positive, I'll get you help by drying you out in the jail.
Yes, sir.
Okay,
That's all of our business,
Yes,
Judge.
sir.
Mayor would be excused.
appreciate it.
Thank you.
Did he show?
Yes, sir, Judge.
Who was it again? Where'd he go?
David
There he is.
Wayne, page, I think it's page 6.
All right, this is cause number CR 19-0609-173, the state of Texas versus David Wayne. Mr. Wayne, I know you're coming from Oklahoma, and two things you don't want to be late for: your own wedding and felony court. And we'll just leave it at that. So you're here. I appreciate it, but you probably, if I would have had a short docket, it would have not gone well for you. So set for pretrial today. Any pretrial from the state?
Standard motion for discovery, Your Honor.
Any objections or standard motion?
No objection, Judge.
Granted. And any pretrial on behalf of Mr. Wayne?
Judge, no pretrial on behalf of Mr. Wayne. We reached an agreement with the
Okay.
state. We're gonna have to come up with some funds to finalize that. So
August 12th at 1:30?
we can start there. Yes, sir.
All right, August 12th at 1:30, Mr. Wayne, you're going to receive a reset notice. The court deems pretrial is held And it's written on the docket sheet that you were late, and so I'll know next time. I got you. Are you working up there?
I had a
job
job
up
up there.
Okay, good. That's all I want to know. You don't have to explain.
Can we be excused, Judge?
Yes, sir. I enjoy people that work. Nobody works anymore. Government making everybody money. Nobody wants to work, can't get service anywhere.
Open up yet, or is it still shut down?
You know what? I don't know. I don't tend to visit the Long John Silver's.
Last time I checked, it was shut down.
And I've got a couple of pleas ready on Scroggins and on Mr. Sanchez. Scroggins is in custody.
All right, Mr. Scroggins, come on up. Did we work out our two ladies here? What are we doing?
Still waiting on her boyfriend to pay money, and the other one wanted me to ask if you consider releasing her so she could turn herself in tomorrow because her truck and everything's out in the parking lot. But other than that, that's the only thing, the reason why she's still here. And the offer we have includes jail time as conditions, so it would make a difference if we worked it out today anyway.
All right, this is CR 21-0332-173, the state of Texas versus Caston Scroggins. And this, how do I pronounce those middle names?
Archilles Quinones.
Archilles Quinones. I wasn't going to try, but I'm just going to call you Mr. Scroggins. That's all right.
He told me something pretty funny about how his mom came up with those names.
Okay.
He said that she was feeling the what?
The epidural.
All right, this will set today for, I think a motion to reduce bond and something else. Is that correct? However, a plea's been presented to the court. It's a state ready.
We are, Judge.
And on behalf of Mr. Scroggins,
We're ready on it.
all right, sir, is your name Caston Scroggins?
Yes, sir. Your Honor.
And are you the same person that was originally indicted by a Henderson County grand jury for the state jail felony offense of theft?
Yes, sir. Your Honor.
Then get you to raise your right hand, sir, the best you can. Do you solemnly swear or affirm the testimony you're about to give now on trial will be the truth, the whole truth, and nothing but the truth, so help you God?
Yes, sir. Your Honor.
You can lower your hand. Mr. Scroggins, can you read and write the English language?
Yes, sir. Your Honor.
Are you a U.S. citizen?
Yes, sir. Your Honor.
If it turns out you're not a U.S. citizen and you enter into this plea bargain with the state and have certain negative immigration consequences, do you understand that?
Yes, sir. Your Honor.
And Mr. Scroggins, have you ever been treated for any mental health or emotional issues?
No, sir. Your Honor.
And do you understand what's going on in here today?
Yes, sir. Your Honor.
And Mr. Scott, do you believe your client is competent?
Yes, Your Honor, I do.
And the court finds that he is. Mr. Scroggins, I know that you've already been arraigned on this case, but would you like the prosecutor to read the indictment out loud here in the courtroom?
No, sir. Your Honor.
All right, but do you understand the charge?
Yes, sir. Your Honor.
Well, as indicted, that charge is originally a state jail felony, which carries a punishment range of not less than 180 days or more than 2 years in a state jail felony facility and a fine not to exceed $10,000. However, it's my understanding that in exchange for your guilty plea, the state's willing to recommend that the court convict you as a lesser included offense, a Class A misdemeanor, which carries a punishment range of up to 1 year in the county jail and a fine of up to $10,000. Do you, and a fine up to $4,000, not $10,000. Do you understand both those ranges of punishment?
Yes, sir. Your Honor.
And the plea bargain?
Judge, if I could, real quick.
I'm looking at it too.
Yeah, there's a
It's
number
a
of.
2 to 20.
Yes, sir. There's a number of enhancements. There's 2 prior pin trips. And then there's also an enhancement that it was committed during a period of an emergency declaration by the governor. We've agreed to abandon all those enhancements, which gets it back down to a state jail, then the lesser included Class A. But I just want to point out the punishment range is 2 to 20, not the state jail that I think he was admonished on.
All right, well, it would be a state jail, but for the enhancements, correct?
Correct.
All right, and so, let me back up there, Mr. Scroggins. If you were to go to trial on this case and were to be found guilty beyond a reasonable doubt, when we got to punishment, if the state proved these prior allegations of prior convictions true, then the punishment range would be a 3rd-degree felony, which is not less than 2, no more than 10 in TDC, and a fine up to $10,000. And if they further prove that this happened during the COVID, during the pandemic, then it would raise it up to a 2nd-degree felony, not less than 2 years, no more than 20 years in TDC, and a fine up to $10,000. So now do you understand all the ranges of punishment?
Yes, sir.
And by law, there's very few things I have to go over on a plea, but that is one of them. All right, and so the plea bargain.
Yes, sir. Judge, it's 166 days confinement in the Henderson County Jail. Credit for 166 days served plus attorney's fees and court costs. He's got to hold out another county judge.
Your Honor, that was true up until yesterday. Informed me yesterday, he informed me today that he was bonded on charges out of Dallas yesterday.
Okay. All right, well, is that your understanding of the plea bargain, Mr. Scroggins?
Yes, sir, Your Honor.
Well, sir, a few minutes ago, you told me you could read and write the English language. I've got two documents I want to go over with you here. The first is the agreed plea recommendation. Did you read and go over both the front and the back of that with Mr. Scott?
Yes, sir, Your
And
Honor.
did you sign the front and the back?
Yes, sir, Your Honor.
The next document I'm holding is the court's admonishments and warnings prior to entering a guilty or no contest plea. Did you read and go over both pages of that document?
Yes, sir, Your Honor.
And did you sign the second page?
Yes, sir, Your Honor.
Any questions about it?
No, sir, Your Honor.
Any questions about any of the documents?
No, sir, Your Honor.
Well, if you read and went over these with Mr. Scott, I know he explained to you that you have many constitutional rights, including the right to trial by jury.
Yes, sir.
Do you want a jury trial?
No, sir, Your Honor.
Do you want to do this plea bargain?
Yes, sir, Your Honor.
Then I'll ask you, sir, how do you plead to that lesser included offense of that which is charged in the indictment, the Class A misdemeanor of theft? Are you guilty or not guilty?
Guilty, Your Honor.
And are you pleading guilty because you are and for no other reason?
Yes, sir, Your Honor.
I'll hear the evidence.
Judge, I have states 1, an offense report, and I have states 2, Michael Morton compliance.
No objection, Your Honor.
Admitted.
Say rest.
Within arrest, Your Honor.
All right, Mr. Scroggins, based upon your guilty plea and the evidence, the court has enough evidence to find you guilty and does find you guilty of that Class A misdemeanor of theft. The court will follow the plea bargain, and sentencing you considers the misdemeanor failed ID and sentences you to 166 days in the Henderson County Jail with credit for 166 days and orders you to pay your attorney's fees and court costs. And before you go, Mr. Scroggins, have you had an opportunity to review the judgment of conviction in your case?
Yes, sir, Your Honor.
Is your name, the charge, and time credit correct?
Yes, sir, Your
All
Honor.
right, sir, you're now remanded back to the custody of the sheriff. And I guess if there's not a hold on you, you got to book out.
Thank you.
You got to see Mr. Albert before you leave, right here to your right. Yeah, my electricity flickered, my computer went off, my TV went off. These stayed up. Yes, sir.
Yeah, I'm sure they probably told you, but I had a guy here earlier this week, Mr. Myers, and he called me today and left a message that he had tested positive for COVID at the jail. So we'll see. We'll see how good my vaccine is.
But did you have it? No, you didn't have it. You got
I
the-
had it way back in October.
Yeah, so you had it, and I had, and the vaccine.
Well, I got the vaccine after I had it.
That's what I only got half the vaccine.
Oh.
I only got the first one because then everybody's like, why get the second one? And the news outlets are saying you don't need it. So I didn't take the second one. I shouldn't have taken the first one, but I did.
Well, if you get it and I don't, we'll know. We'll know you need both of them. Be a good experiment.
I think I'll be all right.
All right.
Oh, that was a guy that was in here that played yesterday?
He was in here for a writ either yesterday morning. I think it was yesterday morning. Mr. Myers, John Myers.
Okay. Well, we'll see. Who do we got now?
Yeah, it's Mr. Sanchez, Jeffrey Sanchez.
Sanchez, come on up.
How you doing today, sir?
Good. How are you?
Doing all right.
Oh, I haven't signed these. Yeah. You gotta just push those at me. She'll throw them at me if I don't. Pushes them over the edge and makes them fall. All right, this is cause number CR 21-0371-173, the state of Texas versus Jeffrey Lee Sanchez. This was set for discovery status today. However, a plea has been presented to the court. Is the state ready?
Yes, Your Honor.
And on behalf of Mr. Sanchez,
Ready, Your Honor.
sir, is your name Jeffrey Sanchez?
Yes, sir.
And are you the same person that was originally indicted by a Henderson County grand jury on these two counts of, well, on the first count of attempt to commit assault of a public servant and a state jail felony and assault of a public servant, a third-degree felony?
Yes, sir.
I get you to raise your right hand, sir. Do you solemnly swear or affirm the testimony you're about to give now on trial will be the truth, the whole truth, and nothing but the truth, so help you God?
Yes, sir.
You can lower your hand. Mr. Sanchez, can you read and write the English language?
Yes, sir.
Are you a U.S. citizen?
Yes, sir.
If it turns out you're not, you enter into this plea bargain with the state, it could have certain negative immigration consequences. Do you understand that?
Yes, sir.
Mr. Sanchez, have you ever been treated for any mental health or emotional issues?
Yes, sir.
And what would those be?
Bipolar.
Are you on medication?
I'm actually going tomorrow to get back on the medication. So
Okay.
the appointment's set tomorrow.
Do you understand what's going on in here
Yes,
today?
sir. Absolutely.
And Mr. Scott, do you believe your client is competent?
Yes, sir.
And the court finds that he is. Mr. Sanchez, I know that we've already arraigned you on this case. However, would you like the prosecutor to read the indictment out loud?
No, sir.
But do you understand the charges?
Yes, sir.
All right, and well, the attempted assault or attempt to commit assault of a public servant is a state jail felony, which carries a punishment range of not less than 180 days or more than 2 years in a state jail facility and a fine of up to $10,000. Do you understand that
Yes, sir.
range? That count one, the assault of a public servant, is a third-degree felony, which carries a punishment range of not less than 2 years nor more than 10 years in TDC and a fine of up to $10,000. Do you understand that range of punishment? And is there an enhancement paragraph here?
Your judge, it's another one of those enhancement paragraphs alleging the offense was committed during a state of disaster declared by the governor.
All right, and if you were to go to trial on this, Mr. Sanchez, and if they found you guilty beyond a reasonable doubt of either count one, count two, or both, and you were to go to punishment, if the jury found it were true or the court found it were true that this was made during a disaster declaration, a second-degree felony, which carries a punishment range of not less than 2 years or more than 20 years in TDC and a fine up to $10,000. So do you understand all those ranges?
Yes, sir.
And the plea bargain?
Judge, in count one of the indictments, it's 5 years for adjudication probation, or for 40 days for the potential sentence, attorney's fees, court costs, and 8 additional days in the Henderson County Jail as an additional probation. Count two, Your Honor, it's also 5 years for adjudication probation, 40 days for the potential sentence. Again, 8 days in the Henderson County Jail as a condition of probation, and these counts would run concurrent with each other.
And the complaining witness?
Judge, I spoke with Chief Norris at Gun Bureau PD a few weeks ago. I had him check with his officers. He ran this plea deal by them and they're on board with it.
Okay. All right. Is that your understanding of the plea bargain, Mr. Sanchez?
Yes, sir.
And is that your understanding, Mr. Scott?
Yes, sir.
Well, Mr. Sanchez, a few minutes ago, you told me you could read and write the English language. I'm going to go over a couple of documents with you. The first, it's the same document. There's one for each count. Is the agreed plea recommendation. Did you read and go over each one of those with Mr. Scott?
Yes, sir.
And did you sign both the front and the back?
Yes, sir.
Do you have any questions about them?
No, sir.
The next document I'm going to refer you to is the court's admonishments and warnings prior to entering a guilty or no contest plea. This document applies to both counts. And did you read and sign both did you read both pages and sign the second page?
Yes, sir.
Do you have any questions about it?
No, sir.
Do you have any questions about any of the documents you read and went over with Mr. Scott?
No.
Well, if you read and went over these with him, I know he explained to you that you have many constitutional rights, including the right to trial by jury. Do you want a jury trial
No, sir.
on either of these counts?
No, sir.
Do you want to waive your right to a jury trial and enter into these plea bargains? And I'll ask you, sir, in count one of that indictment, to that third-degree felony offense of assault of a public servant, are you guilty or not guilty?
Guilty.
And are you pleading guilty because you are and for no other reason?
Yes, sir.
And in count two of that indictment, to that state jail felony offense of attempting to commit assault of a public servant, are you guilty or not guilty?
Yes, sir.
You got to say either one.
Oh, guilty. I'm sorry.
And are you
Sorry.
pleading guilty because you are and for no other reason?
Yes, sir.
I'll hear the evidence.
Judge, for both counts, I have stage 1, the offense report, and stage 2 is Michael Morton compliance,
No objection here.
Admitted.
state rests. Yeah, that's fine.
A defendant restaurant.
All right, Mr. Sanchez, based upon your guilty plea and the evidence, the court has enough evidence to find you guilty and does find you guilty of count one, that third-degree felony offense of assault of a public servant. And as well as count two, the court finds you guilty of count two, that state jail felony offense of attempting to commit assault of a public servant. The court grants the state's motion to abandon the enhancement paragraph, considers the the misdemeanor resisting arrest case in punishing you places you on 5 years of community supervision for each case. You do have time credit of 40 days for each case, and orders you to pay the attorney's fees and court costs in count 1, and to abide by all the regular and special terms and conditions of community supervision, and these cases will run concurrent with one another. And Mr. Sanchez, have you ever been on probation?
Yes, sir.
Did you successfully complete it?
Yes, sir.
You know what can happen if you don't successfully complete these probations?
Yes, sir.
What can happen?
Get the max.
That's right, it's a deferred. So if you violated any term or condition of this community supervision, a motion could be filed, a warrant would be issued for your arrest, you'd be brought back before the court, and if at a hearing, the court found it were true that you violated even one term or condition, the court could revoke your probation or find you guilty, revoke your probation, and sentence you to TDC and state jail. You understand? All right, so would you agree that it's extremely important you do these things?
Absolutely.
And I would go get checked on that medicine, checked
Oh,
out.
and I have an appointment tomorrow.
I hope you do, sir. Good
Absolutely.
luck. Good luck to you.
Thank you, sir.
Where are we at? Not yet.
Bridget was going through the phase, where she put all those decoration enhancements on the lights.
Let's just have a stand. What else you got?
Yes, I've got, well, Miss York, I tried to work her out. I do have an offer, but it involves 10 days jail time. So I told her there's no reason to rush into a plea bargain at this time. Maybe if I can get with the court and set that, if she wants to take that after she's got some jail time. Her only other request was she wanted the court to be aware that she had her vehicle here, and she said
She doesn't have
promised.
anybody else that can come get it?
Um,
The 10 days after.
There's people that come here all the time.
I'm in the middle of.
I don't control the offers, ma'am. Only the state does. I just reject them or accept them. Mr. Cox?
Well, Judge, it's still, I mean, if I were to waive the 10 days of jail as a condition, which is statutory, it's a felony DWI.
She can report and do them some other time.
She could, but is the court still going to, well, she'd be pleading, so.
Right, so she wouldn't go to jail.
Yeah. Okay.
You don't need to do paperwork?
So it just,
We have
same
to do-
deal. wait.
Same deal, she can do her 10 days later, but I need dates so we can do a confinement order. Well, Ken Gillian,
Gillian?
Gillian, did we do him?
I don't believe so.
Whatever happened?
Did he leave?
But one of them couldn't go to the bathroom. Was that him?
No, that's conflict.
No, Gillian went and he was positive.
Yes.
Kevin, you worked me this week. Whew. I know, tomorrow. Well, it may pay off. We may have 2 weeks off.
In quarantine.
I'll text
You
Brian.
can't, that's what I don't understand why Pace was in. Why was Pace in quarantine if she's already had it and been?
County policy.
County policy. I don't work for the county.
Well,
I work for the state. I don't even work for the state. I work for the good people of Henderson County.
So what was she doing?
I don't know.
yeah,
So because if that held true, then that guy that was in here yesterday, we would all be quarantined.
And that's just what he set up, said when he called me. I haven't seen any confirmation.
No, I'm just talking about that in an example. Is that what, I mean, the whole world will be quarantined again. And what in the world do you have a vaccine for? I'd like to think, I should use this.